All right, so we've got our ability and it's looking great. It's not functional, and really there are quite a few things we need to set in our class defaults for the Electrocute ability. For one, it doesn't have a damage effect class. Well, we could just use GE damage. We're going to basically be using the system we set in place that can use GE damage. So that's what we're going to set for that. Now, the damage type, that's easy. We're going to set this to damage.lightning. And for damage, we can set this to 1 and choose a curve table. CT damage will do. And this curve table has abilities.firebolt, melee, ranged, right? And I'm going to add a curve and rename the curve. And it's going to be abilities.electrocute. Now, for Electrocute, I'm going to do what I did for Firebolt. Just put 2 keys, and the top key can be at level 40, and we'll just use a curve. This makes development so much faster and easier than placing a key or specifying the amount of damage at each level or each 5 or 10 levels. So in Electrocute, we'll add a key, we'll right-click, add a key. The first one will be at level 1, and I think Electrocute can cause maybe 5 damage. Actually, I'm going to set it to 1, and I'll tell you why in a second. And at level 40, we're going to set this value to 20. So relatively flat-looking curve, and I'm going to make it an auto curve. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. And the reason I want the damage to be so low for this is that Electrocute is going to apply damage rapidly. Like, as we're doing this, as I'm holding this down, what I want to see is my mana steadily going down, 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 down as I'm holding it down. And I want to see their life, their health go down, 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 down. So it's going to be like 10 times a second or something. We're going to be applying a cost and causing damage. And so for that reason, that amount of damage is going to be very low. So back to Electrocute, our damage can be set to the curve abilities Electrocute. And we can see what that looks like at the various levels. Now, debuff chance, I don't have a debuff yet. We're going to have one, but until then, we don't need to worry about debuff chance. We're going to set it to 0 for now. Death Impulse Magnitude and Knockback Force Magnitude can be left as is, and I'm going to leave Knockback Chance at 0. In fact, I don't even want this to be an ability that has knockback. Okay, now we need to think about cost and cooldown. So as we scroll down in our defaults, we see that we have some ability tags. We've taken care of that. I also see that my instancing policy is instance per execution. We could actually use instance per actor for this. And every time I change that, I go and test it out and make sure it looks like it's working, including in multiplayer. And it looks fine. Now we can go all the way down to costs and cooldowns. Now for cost, the cost gameplay effect class is going to be a gameplay effect we create. I'm going to put it in the same folder as Electrocute. So we'll make a new blueprint class. We'll call this will be a gameplay effect. And this will be GE cost Electrocute. Now, all we need to do is scroll all the way down. We can leave it at instant and add a single modifier. And for our cost, we're going to choose the attribute. It's going to be mana, of course. The modifier op will be add. And scalable float magnitude will be -1. And we can use a curve table. We have CT cost. Now, we're going to need a curve for this spell. We have Firebolt, and Firebolt it looks like a step curve, isn't it? So really not looking forward to adding 10 values in, but we'll do it. We'll add a curve. We'll rename the curve to lightning.electrocute. And I'll just go ahead and put some values. I'm going to make this really cheap at first. We'll go 1, 1.5, 1.75, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.75, 4.5, 5.75, and 7. All right. Now, again, these are low values because our mana will be spent very rapidly. So now that we have that curve, we can go back to GE cost electrocute, select lightning.electrocute for the curve. Cool. So with that, we have a cost. Now we need a cooldown. Now the cooldown is going to be constant. I don't have a curve table for my cooldowns. You might. And if you do, that's totally fine. So I'm going to browse back and make another blueprint gameplay effect. We'll choose gameplay effect, call this GE cooldown electrocute. And the electrocute can have a cooldown, and that means it needs to have a duration. And the duration magnitude for now is just going to be 1 second. Now, we can't forget, with cooldown gameplay effects, we have to add an added tag. We need a cooldown tag for this ability. So that means we have to add one into project settings, gameplay tags. We'll add a cooldown tag, cooldown.electrocute. And we'll add that to our cooldown gameplay effect in our granted tags, cooldown.electrocute. Actually, it should have been cooldown.lightning.electrocute, so I can just go ahead and fix that. I can delete that tag, and we'll go with cooldown.lightning.electrocute. And we'll use that. So here in cooldown electrocute, we'll add that to the granted tags, cooldown.lightning.electrocute. And with that, we have a cooldown effect, and we can go back to our GA electrocute, and we can set our cost and our cooldown gameplay effects. For cost, I'm going to use GE cost electrocute, and for cooldown, GE cooldown electrocute. And I'm going to save all. And now we have a cost, cooldown, and damage. Now, that doesn't mean anything is going to change because we're not applying damage and we're not committing our cost and cooldown. So really, nothing has changed. We can still do this infinitely and we'll never cause damage. But now we're set up to start actually committing our cost and cooldown and applying a damage gameplay effect, and we'll do that in the videos to come. So I'm going to close out of project settings. I don't need my gameplay queue or my curve tables or my cost and cooldown effects. I'm done with those, and we'll continue in the next video. I'll see you soon.